Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our exciting online event, Preparing LnD for Gen Z, Meeting the Needs of the Next Generation. My name is Kiran Sharma, and I'm delighted to be your host today. Our today's session would be center focused on how we as LnD are preparing ourselves to meet the needs of our very own Gen Z, or as we like to call them, Gen Z. For this, we have a fantastic lineup of speakers and a moderator who will guide us through an insightful discussion on the set topic. Gen Z, a demographic cohort known for being tech savvy as they have grown up with smartphones, social media, internet, etc., etc., etc. In short, with a lot of exposure to the digital world from a very young age. These are our current and near future learners who we would be catering to on a regular basis. So this brings us to the current topic of discussion, preparing LnD for Gen Z, meeting the needs of the next generation. So we have with us Toral Rathod, my friend and a colleague with over 17 years of experience in learning and development. As a moderator for today's session, I would like to introduce her as someone who started her career with Kerox Technologies, where I first met her, a prominent IT training and consulting firm where she excelled in sourcing corporate trainers across the globe. Since 2013, Toral has been a vital part of EduRAM team, initially as the head of the resource management group, where she significantly contributed by onboarding subject matter experts to the panel list. Through her active engagement with clients, Toral developed tailored solutions that address specific learning needs, which proved to be a game changer. This client-centric approach has paved the way for her current role in business development, where she focuses on new client acquisition. With her extensive expertise in sourcing subject matter experts and providing effective LnD solutions, Toral is the perfect moderator for today's discussion on preparing LnD for Generation Z or Gen Z. Please join me in welcoming Toral Rathod, VP of EduRAMP Learning Services. Today's first speaker is Anita Pinto, Associate Director, Professional Development, Triance Digital Consulting Private Limited. She comes with over 20 years of global experience in HR, learning and development, and organization development, which is a rich and varied experience in managing talent development for service and product organizations. Most part of this experience has been around building functions bottom up, transforming cultures, and enhancing talent capabilities. She has worked with leading organizations like India.com, News Corporation, and Cisco, and is a postgraduate. I'm sorry, is a postgraduate in HR with specialization in training and many more certifications like Scrum Master, Arbinger Facilitator, Certified Coach, and many more. Please welcome Miss Anita Pinto. Next, we have Sandeep Das, who's a learning and development leader with over 20 years of extensive experience in BFSI, petroleum. He currently serves as Vice President and Head of Learning and Development at IFL Finance Limited. Sandeep is renowned for transforming organizational behavior, productivity, and culture through high impact learning strategies. He is also recognized as thought leader in the human resources space in various industry forums. He holds an executive PG diploma from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences and has earned numerous certifications from prestigious institutions such as Harvard Business School, IIM Lucknow, Myers Briggs Company, Herman International, and Luma Institute. As a technology enthusiast, Sandeep is well known for leveraging contemporary technologies to enhance training effectiveness and learner experience. His previous roles include positions at JLL Property Consultants, Aditya Birla Group, AU Small Finance Bank, Bharti AXA Life Insurance, Max New York Life Insurance, and NIS Sparta Limited, a RIL Group company. Please welcome Mr. Sandeep Das. Our third speaker is Merin Verghese. Merin comes with several years of experience in the areas of management, operations, and training, learning and development, which includes all facets of technical, domain, leadership, life skills, etc. Currently working with a leading manufacturing company as people development specialist. He has previously worked with companies like Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and Sama Technologies. His area of expertise includes process enhancement, standardization of initiatives, new process implementation, internal audit, MIS reporting, training coaching, facilitation, training planning, and execution, etc. Working with key teams across businesses, he has worked on designing programs which have delivered a 400 times ROI. He found his ikigai in training, learning, and development quite early and has particularly been a strong advocate of experiential learning. Being a power skills trainer himself, he loves to bring out the value these skills deliver in different ways in different people. Please welcome Mr. Merin Verges.
Thanks,
Oh,
Karan.
it's such a wonderful lineup. I'm sure we have an incredible session ahead filled with innovative ideas and forward-thinking discussions. So without further ado, I will hand it over to our moderator, Toral Rathod, to kick off the session. Great to have you all online and let's enjoy this enlightening event together. Over to you, Toral.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kiran, for that lovely introduction. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be your moderator for today's session on preparing LnD for Gen Z, meeting the needs of next generation. It is fantastic to see there are so many faces here, all eager to dive into the topic that is so relevant and timely, I would say. We are in for engaging discussion today, and I can't wait to explore how we can better connect with and support Gen Z workforce. So before we jump in, a small instruction or suggestion or a request, please mute your mics so we don't have add-on commentary. And let's start this. I want to take a moment to highlight our incredible panelists who bring a wealth of experience and insight in our discussion. They are leaders in this field, and I'm so excited for you to hear their perspectives. Their insights will be invaluable as we navigate the complexity of engaging the dynamic generation. So here's how our session will flow. It's basically divided in four parts. So the first part is like understanding the need of Gen Z. Second is following like engaging the and upskilling the Gen Z. The third would be learning technology and tools. And the last thing would be cultural and workspace alignment. Throughout our session, I encourage you all to actively participate and share your thoughts and absorb the wisdom our panelists have to offer. Together, let's make this an informative and enjoyable experience. So, now without any further ado, let's dive into our first topic and hear from our expert about understanding the needs of Gen Z. We'll start by unpacking what makes Gen Z unique. So my first question would be to Sandeep. Hi, Sandeep. So,
Hello.
what,
Hi, Karan.
yeah, the question would be like, what do you believe are the unique learning preferences and needs of Gen Z compared to previous generations? Over to you.
So, thanks, Thoral, and I welcome everybody who's on the call today. And indeed, it's a topic that every organization is talking about, right? So what makes Gen Z very unique uh, is prima facie from the point of view that how did they grow up, and what were the experiences they had during their growing up years, right? So if I look at some characteristics, the Gen Z would have got a mobile device quite early in their lives, and uh, the moment they had a mobile device, they would have explored the world, which otherwise was not a very easy thing for us to do. There were tons and tons of pages of encyclopedia one had to go through to acquire knowledge. So, from a knowledge acquisition point of view, knowledge was easily accessible to them. So, when they come to the workplace, they expect the same to happen with them. And gone are the days when knowledge was uh, restricted to only a handful of people. So the gurus. Today, uh, it's a DIY generation. If I look at some of the Gen Z, those who work with us, or in fact, if I look at my teenage daughter, I find a very common trait that the moment they hear about something, or maybe they learn something about in the school, they have a tendency to validate it uh, by searching it on the web. Uh, and it's not just the Gen Z. I think we all are catching up with the Gen Z in this particular trait. So, quick round of question to all of you. How many times have you gone to a doctor, and while the doctor is diagnosing, you have looked up on Google to find out what the disease is all about? You can just raise your hand. So, if you look at your screens right now, the yellow box, it says it all, right? Today, uh, uh, people have an inclination to learn more about the topic, whether it is a doctor or it is a trainer or in an organization or supervisor, whosoever it is. Because knowledge is now democratized. It is no longer privy to a select few of people who call themselves custodians of the knowledge, right? So, immediate gratification. Primarily, they are digital natives. They had an access to a mobile device which brings the world to their fingertips. So they have a tendency to learn it on the go. One other thing that I have noticed is that uh, they have a tendency to learn which they need to learn. Gone are the days when we used to bombard a lot of information, and I remember having gone through multitude of trainings and still figuring out, do I really need this training? Where will I be able to use it? Today, they have a stronger urge to find relevance. How relevant is the training, and how will it impact them? They have a lot of questions in their mind. So gone are the days when we would not question authority. Gen Z would not shy around from questioning authority. They have been questioning their parents. They have always asked for logic. If this is a practice, why is it so? So, uh, so these are some traits which makes Gen Z very unique, which might frustrate people from other generations. But we need to understand that it's a wiring. It's a wiring that everybody comes with. You can't change the it's generational wiring, and it depends on how they have experienced life when they were growing up, which is very different from the life that we experience when we grow up. So we need to understand, accept, and adjust. That's how we will be able to gel along with them. And uh, uh, once you are able to satisfy their answers, they are brilliant people to work with. So in the beginning, it might sound that they're asking too many questions or there are too many whims and fancies. They're trying to validate whatever you say by searching up on Google, putting up a counter question, but it is absolutely fine. Uh, that's how they are wired to be. I hope I have answered your question thoroughly.
Absolutely. I so very much connect with you. Like, I totally understand the kind of exposure they are getting. They need relevant answers. Very true. Very true. And as rightly said by you, they are brilliant people to work with. If you match up their energy and give them right answers for their questions, yes, they are brilliant people to work with, for sure. So thank you, Sandeep, for giving us the answer. And I move on to the next question, which will be for Merin. Merin, I have a question for you. Like, what specific skills do you think Gen Z prioritize for career success, and how should LnD adapt to this? If you can add with the answer.
Sure, Dhruv. I think before I jump into my views, let me take a moment to thank you and the entire team at EduRam for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And coming back to, what are those key skills that probably Gen Z is looking for? I think just like Sandeep mentioned, because of the reduction of arbitrage of knowledge that is there, and because they have access to a lot of platforms where they can learn, which is digitally available, I think they are digitally more literate than many of the previous generations. And for many of the previous generations, they had to make that extra effort of moving on to digital platforms or learning digitally or looking at avenues where they can learn, whereas it comes very naturally to Gen Z. And I think with that questioning of authority, rechecking whatever you are learning, going back and seeing if there is more information that I can gather for a specific topic apart from what is being taught in a classroom or through some traditional methodologies. They have come into that aspect of looking at things a little critically and then solving those problems. So the ability to critically think and problem solve is also something that is inherent to this generation. One other thing that I feel is very, very, or rather they are very cognizant about, is emotional well-being. There is this extreme, um, I don't know the right word to use, but I think there's a lot of impetus that is given to work-life balance today, or work-life integration, as some of the organizations call it. And that's the the foundation of which is emotional well-being. And that is something that Gen Z is very, very peculiar about, very, very um, interested in, and they like to be to have a semblance of life and to have a kind of balance within their entire nature. So it's not all about work or all about their personal life. They want some sort of balance between the both, where they are able to take out time for their personal lives, for their hobbies, which I think, like, if I give my personal example, back in the days when I was in college, I used to read a lot. But today, after uh, joining the corporate world, that the amount of time that I used to dedicate for reading has gone down considerably. And whenever I meet uh, youngsters through the GT programs or through the fresher programs, many of them ask me, what is one thing that you would tell your 20-year-old self in hindsight? And I always tell them that find time for yourself to do things that you love. Am I still practicing what I'm preaching? I don't know. But have I made a little change into that aspect? Yes, I read a little bit, if not a lot today. And one more skill set, which I think comes very naturally to them, is entrepreneurial mindset, which is today given, right? So there is a lot of people who are venturing into entrepreneurship. And even if they are not putting up their own firm or doing their own services or building their own products, they also bring this into the corporate world where they own things. They want to be, they don't want to wait to reach to a managerial position and then say, okay, now I am responsible for things, right? It comes very natural to them that, okay, this is the work that I need to create an impact. And sometimes that, one negative would be a strong word to use, but I think one thing that the Gen Z kind of is not doing right is wanting to have impact very, very fast. So it's not a reel, and everybody needs to understand that a person loses 10 pounds in a 30-second reel, but probably they have worked, 3-6 months in the back end to lose those 10 pounds. So impact doesn't happen overnight. So coming back, I think that entrepreneurial mindset of having ownership is very, very inherent to them. And given these facts, I think the adaptations that we need to make as L&D leaders is, one is creating, personalized learning paths, so that we need to understand that everybody cannot do physics, everybody cannot do maths, everybody cannot do biology, and there are based on your own strengths, based on your own capabilities, you have a different learning path. And forget about it being about K-12 studies or graduation studies. I'm speaking about when you come into the organization, there are different paces at which people learn. There are different avenues that you can make available so that people learn. But the end objective needs to be met, and hence approach of hyper-personalized learning is needed. And this has to be achieved through a blended learning approach. I think traditionally we have been, what do you say? Traditionally, we have been taught up that, okay, if you pass your board exams, you are set for life, which is 10th. Then you come to 12th standard, then your parents say, if you pass your 12th standard exams, you are set for life. Then it becomes engineering or MBBS or whatever, right? But I think the problem there is, a lot of times we have been grown up with either this or that, either engineering or MBA or MBBS or this. But I think the true value lies in and, which is basically this and that. So a classroom and a virtual. So it could be a VILT plus an ILT plus e-learning. So you have to create or curate content in a fashion that it is available across the different platforms and people can pick and choose what they want. What I see working in my own organizations that I've worked with, or when I speak to some of the peers, is the fact that you have to make sure that Gen Z understands how does a certain case study fit in a real life. So if you're not solving real world projects, then it is a challenge, because then if it's an arbitrary case study that you're taking up while disseminating knowledge or while making them experience, uh, then it is a problem. So you have to tie it to a real world problem. Uh, Regular feedbacks is something that I think makes a huge difference when you're speaking to Gen Z. If you're interacting with them on a regular basis, if you're telling them that, okay, this is where you are today, this is where you need to be tomorrow, this is the gap that we have today, and hence to fill this gap, these are the 4 things that you need to do. And on those 4 things, we need to understand that, okay, so those regular mechanisms of feedback is also extremely important. And I think that's some of the tip of the iceberg that we need to pick up. I don't know if it became a very long answer, but yeah, I hope I did justice to it.
No, I feel there were a lot of good points which you covered, and it really is important because with the work pressure and all, we tend to sometimes miss out these pointers because, yes, ownership, then emotional quotient, these are very important factors. Thanks, Merin, for putting light on these pointers, and it will really help if we focus or we look through these points also. Thanks for your answer, Merin.
Good.
My next question, I'll move on to Anita. Anita, how do you engage Gen Z employees who prefer self-directed learning? The same what Merin was trying, self-paced learning or something like that. So how do you engage Gen Z employees who prefer self-directed learning with traditional corporate LnD programs? So yes, over to you, Anita.
Thank you, Taral. I think Sandeep and Marin covered quite a few points to build upon. So it could be some of them repetitive, but nevertheless, let's face it, Gen Z learns differently. I think that's what we heard a few minutes ago. They are digital natives who value their independence and flexibility. So then how do we adopt? Which means first we need to make learning accessible. They spend around 4 hours on the social. They've done a study and they found out that Gen Z spends almost 4 hours on the mobile, on social media. So when that is the case, how do we make learning available on the mobile for them? Which means your content has to be think on demand courses, mobile friendly content fit into their schedule. Break down those lengthy training programs into bite-sized modules that they can tackle between their work. Other pieces you also can, and what we have done is learning in the flow of work. We have integrated the courses, the trainings into Microsoft Teams. So if they are working on particular code, they are working on a piece of work and they can quickly look up for that particular, if they have a problem, quickly look up, just go through that learning, apply it. So that's another what we have done in our organization. Second is embrace technology, which means gamification is important. So the programs, it could be classroom or e-learning programs, ensure there is gamification element involved. AR, VR may not be applicable to all. I think we are yet to mature. I think that's
technology, not they're not buzzwords, they're going to be real. So the earlier we adopt it as they speak the Gen Z language. So we adopt it's good for us. What we have done at Trians is we use gamification on our LMS platform. The learnings, they get points and kind of a thing. We use interactive boards like Miro, whiteboard, Padlet for classroom sessions, so that it becomes engaging and there's a gamification element to it. Third is personalize the learning experience. Let them choose their learning paths. Connect the training to the learning goals. There is then importantly gives them also real time feedback. So probably you have check-in conversations regularly. Check with what is their learning goal. What are they learning? Is it aligned with their career goals, or what career plan you have for them? Is it aligning? Not so that those things will keep them engaged. So you ensuring the learning happens, which is relevant. Okay, and because they're grown up with instant feedback responses, so our LND program also should reflect that. Finally, when I should not need not reinvent everything, blend the old with new. Traditional training programs still have its play. Let's mix it with the digital elements. Peer-to-peer learning. Maybe the theoretical part you can convert them into e-learning. Maybe case studies, relevant experience. You could make it classroom or virtual ILT sessions. So that way there is also blend with peer-to-peer because they really value their um, peer to the social learning. So you have platforms today, you can have cohorts created. So they also have problem solving, critical thinking is important for them. So you could utilize that. Remember, it's not about completely overall um, our LND programs. It's to adapt them to a generation that learns differently while maintaining the core value. So we also can, since the Gen Z likes experiential learning. So I think the 70-20-10 model still holds good, and mentorship. So I think it has immense value. Continue that. So our programs we are designing, we focus on practical aspect experiential learning. I think that's a way to go about.
Thank you, Anita. I think it was very helpful because there are so many things which people are using outside and matching the ask of the Gen Z. So yeah, gamification, it becomes a major ask. They love this interesting things. If you are blending it with the old traditional method, and yes, bit-sized modules as well as personalized learning path, these all are really helpful. Thanks, Anita, putting on light on these topics. And I am sure people would be having a lot of questions, which modules and all. I'll surely answer those, or I mean to say, Anita will surely answer those after the session. Once the session is over, we have noted your questions here. So as bit-size module and all these points were, discussed here, I will move on to the next segment where we will delve into creative strategies for engaging and upskilling Gen Z. So my question is to you, Merin. Gen Z preference for short, digestible content. How is LND strategies shifting towards micro learning? Are they moving on to that path to ensure that Gen Z, they are able to look through those contents? So if you can just put some of your thoughts over here.
Sure, Thuril. I think some of the things also already was covered by Anita, but um, one of the primary things that we need to take care of right now is creating content which is bite-sized. So if you do not create it in that manner at the start, when we are actually looking at e-learning modules, you lose them as an audience. And there's a lot of research that has already been done thanks to extremely short amount of reels or shorts or whatever they are consuming in a very large fashion, and for multiple hours of the day, the attention span has come down. I slightly beg to differ on that aspect because today also there are people who go to a theater and watch a movie for 3 hours. So it's not basically the attention span that has reduced, but I think uh, is the content relevant and informative and engaging enough for me to spend more than 30 seconds on it? And I think that's the primary question that we need to answer for every Gen Z audience that we are trying to cater to, which means that your modules have to be short. Anything more than 5 or 10 minutes, you are losing it. So how do you then, break down a large uh, topic or subject into bite-sized learnings of, how do you then break it down into a structure that, okay, these are the different components, and then break each component into 5 minute or 10-minute modules. At the same time, it has to be engaging content where gone are the days where people are reading, 100-page document. That's no longer there. Today you have tools, and I think we will come to AI in a little bit, but there are tools which can summarize everything and give it to you as a succinct 100 word document or a one pager and all of those things. Does it disseminate knowledge as good as a 100-page book? I don't think so, and that's my personal opinion. But if you need to engage with Gen Z, you have to make sure that it is interactive content. It has to be bite sized. The second thing is with respect to knowledge checks, because sometimes what happens is we are used to this semester exams and then final exams, right? But that module has now, I think it's a little archaic. So if you are doing bite-sized learning, make sure that there are interactive places in between where you pop up a question which could be a true or false or a fill in the blanks or whatever, based on whatever they saw. This enhances retention of whatever we are trying to disseminate. Two, it also checks whether the person is engaged enough. So in a manner of speak, it's a test to check if the person is actually learning or not. We also spoke about creating learning pathways, which means that as long as it is hyper personalized to one person or to a set of people, you will find a lot of engagement on that content or on that pathway. And this could be done using assessments to tailor, micro learning experiences. Gamification goes a huge way. There is nothing that can beat that. A sense of competition has been there right from uh, from the time human beings came into existence. And I think that is going to remain irrespective of whatever generation we are going to be part of. Competitiveness, and that is a sense of positive in a positive way. I'm not saying that you have to put down or stand on somebody else's shoulder to compete and then win. All I'm saying is that, am I better than the other person, is going to be a question that will be true to each and every generation which has come, is there into existence today, and will come tomorrow. That is not going to go out. So gamifying content with respect to uh, having quizzes in between, making sure that you have a leaderboard which says that, okay, there are 10 learners on this module, you are number 5, then automatically you are going to vie for how do you become number 4 or number 3 or whatever. So that sense of having though you are learning on your own, having that sense of co-ownership or having that sense of uh, commitment to a larger group is something that we can achieve through gamification. And like I said, the continuous feedback is necessary. So if you ask a question, whether it is right or wrong is something that you'll have to give immediately after that interactive content, because if you wait till the last, you have already lost them, because they don't remember what is the question that came in between on the 7th minute, and you have to wait for the 70th minute to get a result. So whether it is right, great, you are right. If it is wrong, you give them the right answer, because at the end of the day, it's not about you answered wrong and you did not learn properly. It's about giving that knowledge to them. So even if they made a mistake, if you give the right answer right there, they go back with, okay, this is the mistake that I made. And that's instant feedback. That's instant gratification. And that goes along. So those are, I think, my tips and tricks for the question.
Very, very well said, Merin. As everybody is, the new tools, the reels and everything, they are short content. Yeah, they're so used to. Their entire thought process have changed because of access of all these things at a very, very small age. You even see a 5-year-old kid, he too also checks reels, So yes, very true, relevant content. And as even Sandeep mentioned in the beginning, like, how they how they grow up, in what environment, and what they're using. There is lot of exposure to these things. So yes, we have to ensure that we give that kind of environment when they are there at a workplace, then the interest level will increase and they will perform too. Very true. Thanks, Marine, for sharing this. With this, my next question goes to Sandeep. Uh, what methods are you using to ensure that LnD remains engaging, motivating, and relevant for a generation accustomed to quick access to information? That is a problem. Yes, they need everything fast. But what is your thought behind this? Or what are you using in your
Yeah,
organization?
thanks. So I think Merin in his previous about a bit about that. So what I ended your how can you give it fast? So the answer is to give it fast to them. Uh, we all know that Gen Z, or in fact any of us who have become digital now. So tell me anybody who is not digital, irrespective of generation. Everyone is digital, and everyone wants an answer immediately. Today, no longer have the patience to wait, even if the internet in the era of 5G. In fact, there would possibly not a single place in the earth where will be devoid of an internet connection the moment Starlink comes into picture, right? So technically, we are 100% digital at all the times. Now, the best way to do is to prepare for that. What do? We understand the need, hence we are preparing for the future. We have come uh, some distance on it, and there is a lot of things that we are still planning to do eventually so that we are able to cater to the new age workforce. And I will not call them Gen Z anymore. It could be anyone. It could be beyond Gen Z. It could be us also who have started behaving like Gen Zs. The content has to be very engaging. Gone are the days when you could have a dull PPT with lot of information. Those information they can look up on the Google. They are looking for experiences, not information. Information is easily available. Experience is something that matters. So how can we make the experience better? The look and feel of it, the overall experience by adding elements which kind of engages them through the learning process, adding activities which engages them. There is a focus on, if you look at Gen Z, they are more hooked on to games. They like games. Why? Because it gives a dopamine rush, it gives an adrenaline rush, immediate gratification, sense of satisfaction. So how do we incorporate gamification in our learning? And when I talk about gamification, not just leaderboard badges, those are all old world, old school thoughts, right? I don't think any of the Gen Z is excited by their names topping up on the leaderboard. What I really mean is content gamification. Are we really getting ahead of SCOM packages and getting real games where learning and game are intertwined together? Right? So we are exploring some of these methods while I'm not shying away from leaderboard and badges. That's an age-old practice. Also exploring other methods which engages them. The next thing is that uh, they want information at the speed of Google. So can we be faster than Google in terms of getting the information to them? So the idea is to create a using generative AI, create a system that kind of crawls across all assets within the organization, find out captive information or tacit knowledge that exists within the organization, and pushes it to them in the way they prefer it, whether it is a voice or it is a text in the language of their choice. So it's about hyper personalization right from your preference level. You ask a question in voice and you get a text, doesn't look good, right? So if you talk to me in English, I talk to you in Bengali or Odia, it doesn't sound nice. So that's amount of hyper personalization that we are planning to do, where any information in the form of information, and that much what is needed, not the entire. So if I want to know a topic, we should not push them to go through an entire 30 minutes or a 20 minutes training module. Just give that much information which is required just in time. So just in time, and uh, and it should be very quick, faster than they could get in Google goes through the entire world. Your own internal search system will only crawl through your internal system to process the information. Uh, yeah, and I think keep it short, keep it simple, to the point, that they appreciate that. Thank you.
You nailed it, Sandeep. Yeah, I'm just a hyper personalization. Yes, faster than Google is what they expect at workplace also. So yes, with the help of generative
Else they
AI.
will go to Google. Else they will
Oh
go to Google.
yes, yes,
If you are
yes.
slower than Google, they will go to Google. So you have to be faster than Google.
Very true. I'm to say, when you say the statement, I can actually relate because I've spoken to so many LnDs so far, and I understand this pain area. So, I can understand what this hyper personalization, or like you should be faster than Google. But the best thing is, with the help of Gen AI, yeah, we can support and we can do this. If these interventions are, done in the organization to support, I am sure this will be very helpful and it will yield result. Surely. So thanks, Sandeep, for sharing this. I am sure there'll be food for thought for a lot of people who has joined here. So moving on to the next question, which I have for Anita, which is connected to these discussion. In what ways does LND approach for Gen Z differ from what what worked for previous generations? So Anita, to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have been some of the points I will not be able to cover all of them. Maybe some key points which I can highlight is I think we know that they are truly digital native because they are in the classrooms. The teaching also has been digital. A lot of the Gen Zs, so they don't use technology. They expect to be woven into every learning experience. They love videos. So message for all the LND folks is when you're designing, ensure you have all the content is built up on the video. So have the good video tools available in your organizations. Second, they learn differently. Like I think we highlighted many times, bite-sized learning content include visual elements, interactive experiences. Um, Earlier, we would look at day-long lectures, heavy text materials that's behind us. So Gen Z, less text, experiential, that's what they look at. Um, they want control, unlike previous generation who followed structured path. Gen Z prefers direct their own learning. So I think there's also Pearson study which was done that 55% they say that YouTube has contributed their education, learning, and personal development last 12 months. So, unlike earlier, our older generation relied on education system or companies to provide that learning, but that says a lot. Gen Z is also learning, they look at learning as continuous and collaborative. They don't view it as a separate activity. They look at it integrated to daily work life, happening through peer interaction, on-demand resources. So today you have a lot of MOOC courses available. They don't only look at only my manager tells or something. If they're interested, just quickly, the first thing they go to is YouTube or Google. Or today you have a lot more other platforms. They quickly pick up those learning skills as well. This shift requires us to fundamentally rethink how we design and deliver our training experience. Only sticking to our traditional approach may not work. So we really have to consider when we have a mixed generation, if you want to cater to in designing any of this program, keep in mind all the generations. Not that we reinvent, but what is that we can do it. And because I think today, one of the things what has worked for me is when we're designing, especially with the campus to corporate, when we're designing, we would have put certain topics on the covered. So we asked them what are some of the skills they wanted to learn strangely, they want to learn about finance. How do I manage my finance? That we don't cover in the campus to corporate. It's a lot to do with them. But other one is, how do I manage my emotion? How do I manage stress? So these are the, when we ask them what is that you would like to have in the campus to cover, these are the topics came up. Elsewhile, we won't hear about, especially on the finance. Finance is personal. It's not corporate, which covers kind of a thing. Today, they look at it as, yes, I want to know that part of it as well. So that's it. Quickly on generation. So which means, yeah, they are a little different. So you can be authentic. And, one of the things what we have done is we do a little bit of e-learning content. We have Gen Zs designing that. So, or we review with them so that we also get to know them as well. How do they, what are the elements they can, so because we cannot think for them, involve them, ask their feedback while you're designing. So it's a continuous feedback and check-in, because uh, not looking at, okay, I know it all types, involve them, have honest conversation. Okay, here is what we are. We're looking at partnering. They're willing to do that. Yeah.
Thanks, Anita. As rightly said, there was a joke during COVID times. People said people will use YouTube to create vaccines also. So, and we were discussing this before the event start also, that yeah, their expectations are quite different, and that is because they explore things, or they ask Google everything without even thinking for them by themselves. So they want to go by what thoughts Google have. I should ask the same question to my LnD also, or my senior most managers also, that this is my expectation, and this is, even though if it is not their expectation, they put across this point. So yes, you rightly highlighted few points, and yes, they are little different because of the exposure, I feel so. So moving on to the next segment, we will explore the innovative tools and technologies that can enhance learning experience for Gen Z. So Anita, I would again wish to ask you, how is this integration of digital tools and platforms transforming the way we deliver LnD to Gen Z? So if you could put some light on this.
Okay. So starting with the mobile, because as I think multiple times we called out saying that, they want to learn a lot of the things on the mobile. So anytime, anywhere available of your content, they prefer quick swipes, which means they think of short videos, infographics, quick quizzes or assessment to check their knowledge rather than long for this thing. Today we're also looking, there are exciting technologies available. Give them AI personalized learning paths for each individual, leverage that, use gamification, making learning more engaging, um, through point system rewards. Also have a healthy friendly competition. Maybe you could design programs end of the journey based or milestone achievements kind of a thing. um, Social learning also is a huge on them, so they love to learn from peers, share knowledge. So you could at we if we can leverage platforms similar like YouTube, quick video based learning that makes sense to them. What we have done, Triance, is we also leveraged a lot on the community learning part of it. So that way they also get to learn quickly from others. Um, So basically, they also want to quickly, also track progress in real time, instant support through AI chatbots. We can enable that so that, as rightly Sandeep said, we need to be very quick. So sometimes, you could leverage technology, AI chatbots, answer their questions or curate content. We could leverage technology. Bottom line, to effectively develop Gen Z talent, we need to embrace digital tools. But remember, it's not about using technology for the sake of technology. It's about creating learning experiences that actually work for their generation while meeting the organization goals. Okay, so make it nimble, make it experiential, including quizzes, put design challenges. While if you can have case studies, design challenges regularly, so that they also have practical problem solving is challenged. Yeah, these are the couple of things I could call out.
Thank you, Anita, for sharing these details. Yes, so mobile, anywhere, everywhere. So yeah, I think we need to make reels of our organization task for them to access and get used to of that. Very true, very true. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for sharing that. My next question comes to you, Merin. Uh, what role do you see for AI and personalized learning paths in preparing Gen Z for future challenges? If you can share something on this.
Sure. So I think whatever we discussed, the future of making that possible, or either future, I think the present of making it possible would be through AI. Just like Sandeep mentioned, or every one of us mentioned hyper personalized learning pathways, which is basically, if you have 1,000 employees, can you create 1,000 different pathways, or at least customize it 20-30% of the times, so that it is very, very relevant to that specific user. Now, to do it with the budgets that we have, and speaking very pragmatically here, to do it with the budgets that we have, or the kind of workforce that we have, is almost next to impossible. And hence AI, plays a very, very important part. If Am I seeing it currently with a lot of AI tools? In my limited knowledge, no. But will I see it in the future? I'm absolutely sure we will, because it has. So what Sandeep mentioned, how are you able to look through different avenues to curate content and create a pathway for a specific person, that an AI would be able to do much more effectively than a human being, because having access to all of those content, finding through it through keywords, all of that would be possible for an AI to do very, very easily. So that adaptive learning of platforms which are powered by AI is going to be the near future. It's not a distant dream. The second thing where I see AI being a huge help is skill gap analysis, where you know that, okay, this is the as is situation of a person, of an employee or a person today, with respect to what skill do they have, or the proficiency that they have on a skill, vis-a-vis what is required for that role, and hence identifying the gap and then curating content so that we can fill that gap. I think that's where AI will play another very, very important role on skill gapping, as well as what is the future forecast of what skills is required. So sometimes when we are working in organizations, we have a very limited scope of understanding and knowledge, and we are looking at our own area of expertise and our own products and services. Whereas if you have an AI tool, they are going to look at the similar industries or ancillary industries to try and understand where is the world moving, and hence be able to predict the future, or forecast what future skills are required. One other area where I see AI into personalized learning paths, or solving challenges for Gen Z, is data-driven insights. Right? When you have so many hyper-personalized learning pathways that is created, and many people utilizing them to make sure that they are able to upskill, you are naturally going to have a lot of data available. Now, to crunch this huge amount of data and find out insights from it is going to be another area where AI will help, because it will be easily be able to summarize that and make insights for the senior management or for people like us to then kind of think that, okay, where is it that I need to invest my time, effort, energy into, right? So that's another area which comes across very, very strongly. Flexible learning environments, I think we spoke at large about it, but I think one other thing, or one other area where it will be hugely useful, is to make people believe that we have to be lifelong learners. That same example of, okay, 10th ke baad everything is fine, 12th ke baad everything is fine. After MBBS, you are set for life. You are never set for life. The only way to be relevant for tomorrow or even today is to continuously learn. And I think an AI will help, because it will continuously measure what is the next skill that you need to acquire. It will also, in my own opinion, tell you that, okay, since you have acquired skill number 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, all of these skills together is very, very crucial for this job role, which means that it is now going to predict your next role within the organization or outside the organization or in a different industry, because that's not something that we are thinking about today. So, like a doctor says that because of these symptoms, this is the uh, uh, disease that you have. On a very positive note, on the other end, the AI will be able to tell you because of these skills, this is the job role that fits perfectly for you, and hence you should be able to apply here. Maybe it will also give you, of course, we can stop it from an organization's perspective, but thinking out loud, it can also give you some job requisitions that are there on some portals. Thereby, you can go and apply in a very open. We have not spoken about gig economy and things like that, but that's an area probably I just thought about a good idea where I can start my own organizations and sell it to people. But yeah, that's the future where I see this going.
I so much second all your thoughts, Merin. Yes, AI is the next world, and it is going to help you in so many ways if rightly used. It's same as like you have a knife. If you don't use it in a right way, it is going to be dangerous, right? Or it's going to be harmful. The AI itself has both the sides. So if you use in a right way and if you actually work on it, it's going to make wonders. Very, very true. Thanks, Merin, for sharing it. And my next question is very interesting and very, very important. With all these technology, we completely forget human touch, human interaction. And my next question is to you, Sandeep. I'm sure you would be having a very interesting takeaway for us for this question. Like, how do you balance technology driven learning with the need for human interaction and mentorship for Gen Z employees? So over to you, Sandeep.
Thanks, Thoral. So, uh, so what we usually do, we have the learning journeys are hybrid in nature, which is an equal mix of self-paced learning, virtual instructor-led training programs, on-the-job training, mentorship, and also ILT sessions, which are organized in a classroom setup. So, the life stage of any new employee who joins our organization, we have a mix of all these formats so that they get an opportunity to experience technology as well as the human connections. Uh, what we have found that no one person has a preference for a single method, right? So different people would have preference for different methods. The best way is to provide all those methods to them. So that's one way we try to engage with. It's a must for us to ensure that any new joiner, over a period of time, once they acquire some basic knowledge, they are pulled into a classroom setup. The on-job training helps us to build uh, uh, functional expertise as well as a camaraderie. The people they are paired with, where they learn the tricks of the trade, they also develop camaraderie, and those people become their go-to person for any kind of uh, uh, issues that they face or any challenges that they face with a particular skill. They tend to go back to them. And of course, our learning team ensures that we get everybody together, and not just learning is an interface. We introduce them to all the functions. So, uh, in an organization, typical organization setup, there are multiple functions which cater to an employee. We ensure that everybody gets introduced to the new employee, and they have a face to the name. Otherwise, what happens if you look up an employee directory, you look at a lot of names, lot of numbers, but you seldom get to associate a face with them. And more so when the world understood that virtual is a very cost-effective way of communicating, collaborating. So many of those old age or pre-COVID processes of meeting in a meeting room or calling people over for a team meeting, those have all they've all been taken over by virtual meetings. So I think humanness is something we need to preserve. And I remember it. I was there in some institute, Atlas Skill Tech University, where I spoke about this, that in Industrial Revolution 2.0 and 3.0, when basically humans were being taught to work like machines, the assembly line. So all the Six Sigma and all those Kaizen principles were meant to make humans work like machines. So in a perfect assembly line setup, production facility where they could produce uniform and standard products. And then what happened is that when we had Industrial Revolution 4.0, when generative AI came, machines were being trained to think like humans. But what about humans? So the humanness of humans is expected from a machine, and a human is expected to work like a machine. So what we need to do is to make humans uh, more human today. While generative AI takes a lot of the processes and mundane tasks or repetitive tasks, can humans be taught to be more human? Can human connections be developed further? Because that's where humanity is going to see a challenge, because uh, it's a preference that everybody wants to not to venture out of their comfort zone, whether it is a work from home or in your office, any client meetings. Today, a lot of client meetings happen virtually. Neither the client is interested, neither the company folks are interested to step out and meet people face to face. So somewhere the balance is to be drawn though.
Very, very true and very well said, Sandeep. Post-COVID, I think the complete thing has changed, and it has moved to virtual world, and people have forgot. They have actually you. I should say they're using this shortcut, and I think human interaction is very important, very important. Otherwise, you will end up doing more of soft skill leadership behavioral trainings than technical trainings, because that question would be missing big time. I don't remember in earlier stage when training started, we ever did trainings on campus to corporate and all those stuff. It was directly to the point on technical trainings where we focused on. But nowadays it becomes a mandate that you teach them all these basic things which are expected to be, they should know it, but now they have made it as a mandate. So I understand where we are losing and why this is happening. So yes, we need to learn to balance this, as rightly said by you. Thanks, Sandeep, for sharing this. And we move on to the final segment of our discussion. We will discuss how organization can foster a culture that resonates with Gen Z. So my question would be to Anita. Anita, how are you aligning your L&D programs to fit into the larger corporate culture that appeals to Gen Z's sense of purpose and values, I would say? If you could put some light on these.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Yeah, purpose driven. I think today's Gen Z is very much into. You hear them more aware of what is the social contribution, environment, causes. They really talk about it. At organization part of purpose driven learning, where connecting your learning objectives, the company mission, and social impact. I think that's because they all look at environment, social impact is big. um, they all have a say in it, they have an opinion. So integrate your social responsibility through sustainable courses, community focused projects, so that you also give them purpose driven learning as well. Second, emphasizing inclusive and growth, which means that robust DI training, mentoring programs. It's not only one way, you also can do reverse mentoring. So having clear career pathways for them, personalizing learning experience that show commitment of from organization to individual development. Finally, how do we modernize our approach? Embracing digital innovation, flexible learning formats, collaborative projects. At Triumphs, we look at all our programs include both technical and soft skill development, preparing Gen Z for our future challenges. It's not about one-off leadership program they go through. So it's journey based. We need to, you can't say just, oh, tomorrow you're a leader, just do it. So we need to prepare. Having said that, yeah, so looking at only 1 2 days initiative may not work. It's a journey based, it's a two-way conversation. Get regular feedback from Gen Z employees, involve them in the program design, so that ensuring LnD initiative truly reflect the needs and values. So that's how I would conclude on that.
That was helpful, Anita. And yes, yeah, taking feedback from Gen Z is very important, yes, but even making them used to of receiving feedback also is very, very important, because when you put feedback as blessing for growth, it will be taken in a right way. So, you rather rename it like it's blessing for growth, which I'm going to share with you, rather than feedback. Then it makes sense. Then it becomes a two-way thing, because, always giving things are not valued. It should be two-way. So it should be also understood. Yes. Thanks, Anita, for sharing that. With that, I have next question to Sandeep. Sandeep, what role does social learning, peer-to-peer collaborative learning play in your L&D strategy for Gen Z?
So I think peer-to-peer learning became much stronger post-COVID when we had a virtual medium. Uh, Pre-COVID, though, all virtual mediums were available, but the power of collaborative platform like a Jira, Teams, Zoom, Google Meet was earlier not known. So now once we start our work today, we are on Microsoft Teams and we can buzz anybody within the organization. So the platform of work uh, actually is a platform of learning, because you can connect to anybody within the organization and learn from them. So no longer you are dependent on seeking time, not knowing who the person is. So these collaborative tools have itself, these collaborative tools itself have become one of the enablers for peer-to-peer learning. We have seen a lot of change in the LMS and LXP space, where we see a lot of buzz and social user-generated content. So today, just like a reel, anybody within the organization can capture a video of them talking about some aspect and upload it on the LMS, and it kind of flows out to the organization. There are buzz threads where any content that gets uploaded, just like an Instagram post, the moment some influencer makes a post, others keep on contributing, adding to stuff. So those options are there. And apart from that, there are some new features which are coming in, like creators economy, where you can curate content, in a controlled environment. You identify subject matter experts who can become mentors, who can become SMEs for a specific area, and anybody with the organization can reach out to them. So there are multiple innovations happening around in the space. And as an organization, what we need to do is to evaluate all those contemporary solutions which are available in the market. So as an organization, we have deployed the most contemporary platform that is available right now. And we keep on constantly talking to our partners to see what's their roadmap and horizon looks like when it comes to adopting some of the new age technologies. So it's a constant change, constant upgradation that needs to happen at our level also, so that we are able to meet the needs of the new age learners.
Absolutely right. Yes, it's a continuous process, and we need to follow the A to Z of it till you don't get outputs. Very true, very true. So thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for sharing that. My next question goes to Marine. How do you integrate diversity and inclusion training into L&D programs to address the priorities of Gen Z employees? If you can put some light on this.
Sure, sir. I think diversity and inclusion, again, one thing that is very, very close to Gen Z. I think as organizations, we need to define pragmatically of what is our definition or what is our scope of what we are going to do within the D&I space. Uh, because, sometimes the West, so this is my personal opinion, rather than aping the West on some of the nonsense that they are trying to sell through DEI, it sometimes is counterintuitive as well as counterproductive. So where do you draw the line? What is it that you need to now, disseminate as part of your strategy to people is something that you have to define first. The second thing is, people are much more aware today about uh, be it LGBTQI plus or how women change a workplace and what is their contribution. So people are much more aware. So you don't have to, especially from a Gen Z perspective, you don't have to sell them the idea of why is it necessary that we should have equal amount of population across genders or things like that. And I think what the move that we need to make is through workshops or simulations where you are able to introduce them uh, wherever the gap is. So if you have a lower population of women, then the simulation or the workshop has to be of interacting with women to understand what that they bring to the table. Or if your as an organization your intent is to make sure that you have a good mix of genders with different, or rather a good mix of people with different sexual orientation, then those kind of people sitting across a table discussing things is what is necessary, rather than getting offended on the drop of a hat through pronouns and things like that. Because I think that's nobody's trying to offend somebody by calling them he or she when they identify something else, right? So that part of the world is, in my opinion, a little too much uh, for me to digest personally. But I think that's we are wasting time on something which is irrelevant. That's my opinion. So facilitating discussions with people of different perspectives is what will change the perspective of people in the D and I space, especially with so it could be panel discussions, it could be workshops where people are sitting. Um, I take the example of this. There's whenever somebody is trying to quit, say, alcohol, there is this alcohol anonymous, AA kind of. So they come together, they sit, and they kind of uh, explain to each other or share with each other of what is their journey of quitting alcohol, right? And that kind of somewhere you are able to make a parallel to them, or you get to understand their perspective, and you are much more empathetic towards a person who was an alcoholic at some point in time. Similarly, if you are sitting across and I don't understand, so for example, I'll take my personal example, right? I spoke about how pronouns are a waste of time, but maybe when I sit across somebody who feels very, very passionate about it, I understand that perspective, and maybe that perspective will change my perspective. So unless I'm ready to do that, we are not going to change anything. So that's my 2 cents on how we can, effectively do DEI in organizations.
Thanks, Marine, for explaining it in a very, very, very right way. I would say it's a very sensitive thing, very sure. And rather than focusing on other aspect, if we focus on their expertise, then everything is done. Why to highlight something which is not required? Yes, it's a waste of time. We focus on their expertise and take the best out of it and use it for the betterment of organization. That's what's all matters. Very true, very true. Thanks, Marin, for sharing that. And I think as we come to the end of our session, I want to take a moment to reflect on the valuable insight shared today, from understanding the unique need of Gen Z to exploring innovative strategies for engaging and upskilling them. We have covered a lot of ground over here. There are pointers which, yes, the personalized learning should be taken care of, and using of gamification and blended learning and even relevant content. So there are a lot of things as a takeaway was shared during this session. So I did like to thank the panelists for their expertise and thoughtful contribution, and to all of you for your participation and engagement. Remember, the key takeaways from today can serve as you navigate for your own organization. LnD strategies to better meet the needs of the next generation. So use this tips and all the discussions what we had to, curate a bespoke version for your organization, I would say that. So let's open the floor for the final questions or reflections. Your thoughts and inquiries are essential, and we continue this important conversation. Thanks again, everybody, for being here today. I would surely address few of the questions here. I believe Merin and Anita has already answered here. There are few questions which are pending. I will share it with the panel. The first one is from Sejal. How do you measure the impact of all these learning intervention which are designed in various formats? What are the metrics you measure success against? So I would request any one of you to answer it. Merin, Anita, Sandeep.
Can I, Toral?
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Sandeep.
So, we don't measure after a training intervention is designed. So, any training intervention design is should be an outcome of measurement. So, if you follow the Kirkpatrick model, usually we follow. It was not meant for training evaluation. Basically, Kirkpatrick had designed the model for training creation. So, how do you design the intervention? It is not 1 to 4. Actually, it is 4 to 1. Uh, so, so you identify what is the challenge. So, for example, uh, the challenge is that there is a specific employee satisfaction parameters, ESAT parameters, which is abysmally low. Probably it is empowerment, it is leadership quality, or something or other, right? Or listening score. You pick that up. What is the current level, and what level is an ideal level for the organization? So that becomes the ROI, right? That if I'm able to move the needle, and it could apply for anything, it could be for a sales related issue or a customer service related issue, it could be for anything. Where we are currently and where do we need to move? Then once we define that number, then we decide, okay, to move from A to B, what are the various behaviors that need to be changed in employee? Then we actually decide on the behaviors. Once we know what are the behaviors which if impacted will take us from point A to point B, then we go next level, which is what are those skill sets which should be imparted to the employee, which when converted to a specific behavior will help us move to the middle. And then to impart those skills, what are the various experiences that we need to? So we actually get it wrong entirely. We collect a feedback. We collect feedback from the participant. How do you like the program? Then check with the manager, is the behavior change or not? Everything should be well defined right from the beginning. Training should never end with ROI. Actually, the training design should start with ROI in mind.
Very, very true. Very true. Very well said, Sandeep. Very true. Thanks for answering this. I hope, Sejal, you have got your answer. And I must say, my panelists are like so proactive. They have answered almost all the questions. So thanks for that. There is one question which is answered probably in the beginning. I believe I'll just share with you maybe the first question, if I'm not wrong. And it was asked from Pehel Chaudhary. So she has asked, like, would there be any specific example for AR, VR element infused for the gamification of training from service to product industry? If any one of you can answer this one. Merin, Anita, Sandeep.
I can go in case.
Yes, Sandeep.
Uh, AR, VR have been the buzzword for 3 4 years now. Generative AI has taken over. In between, blockchain had come in.
Yes.
AR, VR as a concept is very good, but unfortunately, it is not viable from commercial point of view. To provide the experience, you need to have those expensive
Devices.
headsets. Uh,
Yes.
so without that, you will not be able to give that experience. So that's one of the predominant the reasons why they have not become popular, while organizations have set up experience centers, but they cannot cater at a scale. They cannot scale up. It could be one or two locations where you can set up a AR/VR center for a couple of them employees to come and experience, but at a mass, it's not a mass level, not possible to deploy at a mass level. So that makes it slightly prohibitive. However, today we have a lot of content providers who create 2D VR, so that basically those simulations and all, the environment can be experienced, but however, you can't experience it the way in a 360 environment. You can just take a feel of it. uh, my hunch feeling is that in the next 10 years also AR VR are not going to be that popular. There are other immersive methods of learning, like for example today you can look at Unity 3D, uh, or some other platforms which create
Yes.
game engines. Not all LMS providers today have the capacity to hold a game module. The best they can do is a MP4 as a SCOM package or a PDF or a voice file, but they can't handle any SCOM, any Unity 3D based package, Construct 3, Unity 3D. There are multiple platforms which enable you to design game. For example, if you go to Construct 3, any one of you, you can actually search Construct 3. It's a DIY platform. You don't need any coding. You can create an account and start preparing games. And these are all learning games and real engine, right? Like the people you see crushing candies for 2 3 hours while commuting from work to home and home to work. I fail to understand what comes out of those candies. But the point is that there is an adrenaline rush. So why don't you create your in-house Candy Crush and make every employee play Candy Crush throughout the day, and there would be some learning element, right? So
True.
go ahead and do that.
True, 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 true. That was seriously very true, Sandeep. Yes, infusing things in such a way that it's play as well as work both taken care. Yes. Thanks for answering that. I hope, Pehel, you got the answer which you were looking for. And once again, thank you to all the panelists and our audience. Over to you, Kiran. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this, complete event. And thank you so much. Over to you, Kiran.
Thank you, Toral. It was indeed a pleasure to hear you speaking so well after such a long time. Thanks a lot. And it's has been a real pleasure. So thank you so much. Thanks to all the speakers, Anita, Sandeep, and Merin, for sharing your invaluable insights and expertise today. All your contributions have been immensely impactful. I must say, I was honestly bowled over by some of the comments, the information that was passed on. And it was so relevant to the current and upcoming scenarios in LnD when it comes to meeting the needs of our young generational leaders and learners. And I would also like to extend my gratitude to our audience for joining us and participating in this important discussion. The engagement and the questions which were put up by our really enthusiastic audience has added so much to the event, and it has made it a truly interactive and collaborative experience. So, as we conclude, I hope everyone takes away new ideas and strategies and goes back highly positive about making learning even better. So, thank you once again, our speakers, moderator, and all of you who attended today. Stay connected, stay innovative, have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you all once again at our next event. Till then, keep innovating, keep learning. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice time. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Thank you,
thanks,
Merin.
Kiran,
Thank
for
you, Toral.
hosting
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
everyone for
Thank
joining.
you.